Here is where the federal government shutdown sits on day 28. The Senate was back in session yesterday, but focused on confirming judicial nominees, not advancing a funding bill to end the shutdown. 12 times senators have voted on such a measure, and 12 times it's failed to pass. The House was not in session, with Speaker Mike Johnson now indicating he will make decisions about returning on a day-by-day basis. Members of the House have not been gavelled into session since September 19th. But some good news yesterday. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it will continue funding food assistance for pregnant women, new moms, and young children for, quote, the foreseeable future, basically keeping the WIC program afloat here. And while WIC funding is back on, the same can't be said for SNAP benefits, with the USDA saying it can't tap into its contingency fund. But advocates warn that decision could leave millions without critical support. The contingency fund is estimated to hold between roughly $5 to $6 billion. A recent USDA memo says the fund is only reserved for disasters or emergencies. The agency estimates that SNAP normally needs $9 billion each month to serve all 42 million recipients. All this as the clock ticks to Saturday's deadline, when more than 1 in 8 Americans could lose food assistance if funds remain locked. Let's dive deeper into this fund story with Daniel Hornung, former Deputy Director of the National Economic Council of the Biden White House. Daniel, great to have you this morning on an important story. Let's start with that new information on WIC being continued. How much of a relief is that news?
Well, that is a really significant relief. You know, so many new mothers, children, infants across the country rely on that program. I do think it underscores, though, that there is an ability to be creative, just as the Trump administration has been within other programs. And I would hope that they would reverse course soon and make sure that by this Saturday, those SNAP payments can go out as well.
Mr. Horning, as we said here, the USDA says the funds are only available, quoting from them in that memo here, to supplement regular monthly benefits when amounts have been appropriated for but are insufficient to cover benefits. So the bottom line here, does the administration have the legal authority to use the SNAP contingency fund now or not? How do you see it?
I think the answer is that they do. And certainly when you apply the same standard that the administration has used in other areas to have other programs go forward, it seems that the administration has not been worried about taking aggressive legal interpretations, doing things like making sure that farm aid goes out, other ways that the administration has kept open certain programs, the parks, for example. And so I'd hope that they'd bring that same creativity to the SNAP program. As you noted, 1 in 8 Americans rely on that program to receive food assistance, make sure food is on the table. This will be very serious if we have Americans across the country not getting those benefits in the next week or two.
Well, I mean, is the math working out here? Because quick back in the napkin math here shows that you need $5 to $6 billion sitting in reserves, yes, but around $9 billion is needed for 1 month. So how do you even stretch that out? What's the most practical way to do this?
Well, I think the reality is, you know, the basic math, they could get several weeks into the month. And so I would encourage them to have states put those payments out so people can get through at least the next few weeks. It's certainly not a way we should be governing. We should be passing funding bills to make sure the government is open for the long term. People aren't worried about this. But when you get right up to those cliffs, we need to ensure there aren't disruptions for families across the country who are counting on that program.
And as we're approaching that Saturday deadline, any single action that we could take this week as a country, barring reopening of the government, that could keep food on the table for November?
Well, I think it really is the Trump administration deciding to release those funds. It's a very difficult issue when you put it in the kind of larger picture of the importance of also making sure that on November 1st, people's healthcare premiums aren't going to start going up in January. People are going to start getting notified of their health insurance premiums in 2026 very soon. And we're talking about doubling of premiums for certain households. So I think that's the issue that has kept this government shutdown really going on longer than anyone would want it to. But I think when it comes to this specific issue of SNAP, the Trump administration does have the tools to make sure that folks aren't going hungry in November, and I hope that they decide to use them.
And Mr. Horning, for people who maybe have never used SNAP who are watching, How do you make them understand what this means for their neighbors, their community, and their local grocery store? What do you want to leave them with today?
Well, I think people have sometimes in their head this idea that SNAP is a program that really is just for the poorest people in our society, and very few people use it. The reality is 1 in 8 Americans rely on SNAP benefits at some point during the year. That means, middle class folks who lose a job and aren't able to put food on the table have it as a lifeline. It means the elderly, people with disabilities, people who are sick. So many across the country rely on this program, and it really is a critical lifeline that doesn't just help those families, but make sure that when things turn in the economy, that the economy can keep plugging along as well.
Daniel Hornung this morning, the former deputy director of the National Economic Council in the Biden White House. We thank you for your time.